Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're just giving it a few minutes for people to join us, and we'll start shortly.
All right, I think we can start. So welcome everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. My name is Noah Sonnenberg and I'm the director of PlanetTech. And I'm glad you took the time to launch with us this exciting competition, the Nature Tech competition. For those of you who are not familiar with us, I'd like to take 2 minutes to tell you a little bit more about our organization. So we are an innovation community for climate technologies. We're a nonprofit, a joint venture of the Israel Innovation Institute, which has more than a decade of experience in building innovation communities. Consensus Business Group, which is an investment house based in the UK, which invested more than $700 million in startups, and the Israeli Ministry of Environmental Protection. Deborah, thank you. Our mission is to lead Israel in the global tech ecosystem in tackling climate change. We do that by a combination of two approaches: shifting the global focus and technologies towards climate change challenges, and building a global network for climate tech innovators, which you are now part of. Our unique position as a nonprofit in the ecosystem enables us to centralize it and basically work with the various stakeholders to give each one of them whatever they need in order to help the ecosystem thrive. Since we were established 2.5 years ago, over 8,000 people and over 800 startups joined our community. We developed a unique methodology to map climate tech ecosystems and help countries over Europe to adopt it, and help more than 150 startups, train them in order to understand their impact on the climate. We work in two main verticals. One is being a knowledge center, and the other one is facilitating connections and implementation of technology. One of the ways to do that is launching competitions like we are launching now. And I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about our next big adventure, PlanetTech Worlds 2023. Basically, 3,000 attendees, 130 exhibiting startups, and 70 global experts and speakers all come together for a one-day conference, which will take place in Tel Aviv on October 18th. We welcome you to secure your position there and buy your ticket to it today. And I'm looking forward to see your 3D version in Tel Aviv. And just before I pass on the virtual mic to Deborah Kreis, our head of partnerships, I'd like to thank Debo for organizing this great event, and for the rest of the PlanetTech team. You're superstars. Thank you for organizing this event and the competition, and help put the spotlight on this super important and fascinating topic. So over to you, Deborah.
Thank you, Noam. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Deborah. I'm the Global Partnership Manager at PlanetTech. I'm very happy to be kicking off this Nature Tech competition today. We've been working with the team for over 6 months on this initiative, and we've reached out to many global organizations and experts on nature tech and nature-based solutions, and together they helped us shape this competition as we're presenting it today. So the idea for the day is to dive a little bit more about into our competition and what are the opportunities and who can apply. But we also want to hear from the partners that are bringing opportunities to the startups, and from the incredible mentors that that are with us today. Sorry, slides are not passing. I'm sorry, just technical issue. Okay. So at PlanetTech, every year we decide to focus and put our efforts into one of the sectors where we identified the most gaps. So this year we decided to focus on nature and nature tech, because to meet our climate, nature, and land degradation targets, we need more financial and more technical support for nature-based solutions. We need nature-based solutions to protect, conserve, and restore natural ecosystem and biodiversity, because they're vital to ecosystem services. And today, 50% of the world, the GDP depends on it. We also need a nature-based solution in nature tech to increase carbon sequestration in land and in oceans. And we need more nature tech to help our adaptation and to be more resilient to climate change. So we decided to focus on nature tech across many different pillars over the years. So we started with a series of webinars a few weeks ago. We are launching our startup competition today. We are going to push this focus to PlanetTech World, our yearly conference, and we're going to have some activities at COP as well. And our objective within all of these pillars is to raise awareness on nature-based solution, and we're bringing experts from the field to be able to interact with the ecosystem. We want to identify new technologies, new nature-based solutions, and new technologies that can help scale those nature-based solutions. And we want to work in bridging the gap for nature-based solution as well. So today we're going to dive a little bit more into our startup competition, understand who can apply. But before that, I would like to start just opening up a little bit this session with our first speaker, Niraj Swami from Nature Conservancy. Niraj is joining us today to discuss a little bit about the interdependency of nature and climate, and to talk about how the Nature Conservancy is integrating nature-based solutions. Niraj currently leads conservation technology, strategy, and enablement at the Nature Conservancy, where he focuses on accelerating and amplifying conservation impact by integrating technologies. So Niraj, if you're here, I will let you share your screen.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks, everybody. Let's see if you can allow me to share my screen. There we go. Perfect. Lovely audience here. I think this is going to be a quick presentation, a little overview of what I do at TNC, but hopefully to help you see from the lens of one of the largest NGOs in the world focus on nature-based solutions, to think about how technology, conservation technology, can help advance our mission. Still background, I was never in the conservation space. I come from the entrepreneurial build things world. I've been in the healthcare, human capital, AI tech, startup world. So a lot of you folks that are competing and are looking to compete, the same mindset of why this matters. A few years ago, I joined as an advisor to the Nature Conservancy as part of their TechStars Accelerator, helping and mentoring startups in the space. And I really hope to connect with you all here on that level. Just a little quick background of TNC. TNC is a global organization, more than 79 countries. We have more than 400 active scientists that do a lot of research on this nature-based solutions. And these are our goals. I'm not going to read every one of those for you, but you get a sense of the alignment we have with what Deborah just shared around this year's theme, nature, how we have a key focus on climate, using nature to address climate issues, leaning heavily on people. It's a people, science, nature partnership, focusing on healthy lands, oceans and waters, so fresh water, as well as, local first, communities that matter. This has been a key principle at TNC and a key area of where we've honed in on our goals. So how does a technologist fit into this entity? We have formed a little cohort called the Conservation Tech Strategy and Enablement Team that focuses on enabling and amplifying the impact nature-based solutions can have with technology. And that sounds like a mouthful. What it really means is we see that there's a lot of conservation and science hitting ground at TNC across all of our programs. And we want to look at technologies that come in and help advance our mission. No problem's too big, no problem's too small. We want to make sure we address them in a very, very iterative manner. And so for the next few slides, what I'll share how we've approached this challenge at TNC, how we continue to double click, dive deeper, and actually put actionable tech on the ground. This function is not like a tech studio, so to speak. It's not established as a product shop. What we really are is we realize that TNC, and in a lot of ways, the broader scope of nature-based solutions, science, people, community, local, place-first mindset is a very key anchor. And where technology can come in is help ideate, experiment, and de-risk in the early stages. And that's really where this function sits. We have established a way to try new technologies, and I'll give some examples of those technologies. We also have, TNC has a broader IT arm that actually does some of the scale up. If something works, how do we try it and bring it to another chapter, another place, aligned with the same strategy? That's really how the organization and the function is designed, and how we look at technology in the conservation space. And that really looks like a funnel, a little bit more like the concentric circles of how we move along this journey of tech for our conservation efforts. We start with reading from the center. It's all about experimenting. Let's try, let's fail fast. Maybe these are overly used terms, but they do mean something very, very tangible for us. We want to try new technologies. We want to place them on the ground. We want to have them engage with, local folks, scientists, measure quickly, iterate, adjust, and then scale it for impact. How do we take it to another layer of impact and scale, which then takes us into some big picture tech innovation. If you look at TNC, 79 countries and territories across the world. We have shared priorities, shared goals. Somebody that's working on invasive species in Hawaii might also be working on invasive species in Indonesia. How do we really look at the big picture and start building this fabric of connected learnings and collaborations that help us drive our mission forward? So the first pillar, when we talk about some experiments, this is where there's a lot of potential for tech. There's a lot of new ideas that we want to explore, but we haven't really seen how it might work. And so we really want to explore how these technologies work in the real world. This is very important for us. We look at local as a pretty key hook as trying out these technologies. And as you all innovators are thinking about your technologies and nature-based solutions, place is a big part of that equation. We've been looking at some generative AI for conservation. The example I just shared, the detecting invasive species with AI. Here's an example. We have been looking at detecting ginger in rainforests in Maui. It's an invasive species that spreads very fast, and it's one of the most nutrient hungry, greedy invasive species. It's not native to the soil and the rainforests of Maui. What happens in that case is, as we try to plan and as our teams try and plan to mitigate, facets of how they will control for this ginger spread, we need to understand where this ginger is growing. How early can we detect it? How fast has it grown? How close it is to roadways and people and livelihood. So we're looking at ways to employ AI tools, satellite imagery, drone imagery, even helicopter videos, to see if we can employ AI tools to understand, is this ginger or not? That'll reduce the workload of our staff on the ground. Another area which is very, very prominent, actually, I can smell the smoke today here in Oregon, microclimates for controlled burns. How can we help detect, what is going on specifically on a large acreage of land? What might be some weather conditions, microclimate conditions that are fueling a certain level of, burn activity? How can we use that to plan these burns? Again, these are all nature-based strategies. The technology comes in and plays a role of helping and assisting, making sense of the science and making sense of the conservation efforts we want to do. Some of the keywords that we really think about is monitoring conditions, helping people prioritize, helping scientists do something faster. These are great tech ideas and tech solutions, and where we've seen potential for not just the experiments that we do, but things that scale up for impact. We are working on a way of establishing a library of science tools and AI tools and methodologies that scientists can use. We're in an era where self-service, cloud, is a big enabler of these technologies. And globally speaking, putting these technologies in the hands of folks on the field, in our business units, in our territories, working with local staff, the key idea is giving them autonomy, giving them power to really make it now, draw that science forward with the tools that we can provide. And that's where we look at some bigger picture solutions. Geospatial innovation is a big area at TNC. More than 1,100, I think actually might be closer to 1,900 practitioners at TNC touch something that has a geospatial information entity, whether it's a map, an atlas, running models on maps and cartography. All these people, all these folks are working on science-driven initiatives, helping them analyze that science-driven initiative, and their GIS workloads is an area that we really focus on and has a huge potential for partnership externally also. Some of the big picture work that we're looking at, this is where we get into how broad PNC is and where technology can come and help us play. Cloud and data enablement is a big area of opportunity, particularly because of the nature of where we are as an organization, but also as a community. These problems are not just happening in Seattle, Washington, or Spain. They're happening everywhere around the world, and more specifically in regions where there might be connectivity issues. There might be issues with the reach of technology and access to certain tools. We want to think about how can we still bring the value of centralized cloud and data, help them bring those services in those areas. We're also looking at these learning labs. We want to look at a thematic area. Let's talk about invasive species. We want to go deep. We want to see what happens in, the full stack of invasive species in a certain rainforest. Can we build technologies that detect on the ground soil conditions? Can we detect humidity? Can we detect, through aerial imagery, invasive species, like I said? We're looking at a full stack of technologies because what we've learned is that in nature-based solutions, people are such an important part of the puzzle and the equation that when we find an enabling condition to try some aspect of new technologies, it often means there's people, resources, science, conservationists that are available to explore and try those things out. And we think that's a very scarce resource. We should value that and learn in an accelerated fashion in that central place. And then my favorite, one of my closest to my work, is this idea that conservation is a connected network. Everything that we're doing, Planet is a social network. So if we're working on solutions, whether they're tech-centric or not, there's an ability for us to learn from the systemic nature of this challenge. And for that, we need connections. We need to draw upon the idea that how something works somewhere might impact some work elsewhere. When there's a blocker in a certain region, how can we use an enabler in another to really build off of those attributes? That's really where some of these technologies have really helped us kind of go through. There's a few stories, and I'll share these offline. We've been working on the AI story that I mentioned with Hawaii and how we've leveraged a variety of different data sources, image sources, videos, and different types of AI to really help analyze what's ginger, what's not. And you can read up more on this. I'll share the story in the link. And Burncast, this is a great example of something that actually came about from our accelerator. When we ran the Techstars Accelerator for 3 years, we brought in 30 companies that were working on nature-based solutions and technologies that were assisting nature-based solutions. One of them is a company that helps detect and helps us better plan fires and burns. And so what that really helps us with is if you're really trying to manage a vast acreage or a vast parcel of land, on how you want to, where do you want to start a controlled burn? What should be the timing? What time of the week? It's a big area of need for them where they need to understand what microclimates exist, what might be humidity, what might be some burn factor that might be happening. Again, a great solution that was designed for the commercial space. It was designed for vineyards and farmers that applies very naturally to burn planning and what we do at TNC. And very exciting stuff here, very specific to InNegev. Very place-based. It started off with a couple of regions where we were trying to do control burns, and now we're using this technology quite a bit. So I want to leave you all with a few mental models. I call them anchors of what we've learned as conservation technologists at TNC and what my team has anchored ourselves on. As you're building, as you're competing in this competition, as you engage with partners, as you reach out, and I'm available as a mentor for you all to think about these resources also. So please be, don't be shy. Absolutely reach out and connect on any of these aspects as you're thinking about your innovations. But what I want to really share is what makes nature-based solutions unique to certain types of conservation tech solutions are some of these mental models we've come up with. One of the things is there's a plethora of science workflows. It's a very science-driven field, a very much a conservation and science partnership field. And science is not just ecology science. You get into people science, behavioral science, driving things around, multidisciplinary science interactions. You really want to think about technology that can assist those workflows rather than automate them or think about ways to really help our science. That's a big pillar of our work at TNC, where we look at ways to accelerate and assist what science is trying to do, especially thinking about their workflows. We think local is the channel to global. And while there might be a lot of solutions to think about when you think about, let's build a supply chain technology or that helps us track sustainability impacts. Well, that works at a global scale, but how do you really implement it? You'll start learning the nuances of what happens when nature-based solutions hit the ground, and you'd be able to understand the nuances of how local communities, local, private sector engagement, stakeholders, science, all these facets that are tied to the local context become very significant. And we've learned that the best way to try these technologies is to actually try them in a place first setting and then partner very heavily and early on with science and conservation staff. There's a huge opportunity for us to get into the data world, understanding, where data is, How do we measure it? How do we help monitor condition and understand and assess how nature is playing a role in helping us mitigate challenges our planet faces? And for that, we need to understand condition. We need to evaluate condition. MRV or MENL, these aren't all terms used by the same lane. Monitoring, evaluating, and learning, really understanding condition. We want sensors. We want to see how these sensors work in low bandwidth or low connection regions, in low power situations. There's ways to think about some hard tech that helps us think about the data it's going to generate and how we can trace impact all the way from source to impact. So this is a triangle that was one of my first lessons at TNC. It wasn't always about bringing technology in to help us solve a challenge our planet is facing, but it really is a partnership between people, science, and nature, and can't leave any of them out in evaluating how your technology or how your innovation impacts change. People in science, especially in regions where we need that, science and nature, because that's TNC, and people, nature, there's the dynamic people have, communities have, indigenous people have with the regions they live in, and we need to understand, respect, and build for that. There's a big layer of understanding this dynamic and how we have looked at technologies and looked at it from an equitable standpoint. And finally, we don't really talk about this too much, but there's a very, very strong aspect of behavioral change. Nature-based solutions essentially leverage nature to solve for our challenges that we face. And for that, a lot of times, if we're engaging with people, if we're engaging with stakeholders that have economic incentives that are broader than just conservation per se, you want to have behavior design. You want to think about how are you going to drive collective behavior? How are you going to help people make choices that are aligned with the nature-based strategy you have in place? And it's a little bit more intricate. This is something we think about heavily. TNC has a lab of sorts, an agility lab, as we call it, that's run by our conservation leaders in the conservation program. They really think about how we can help advance our mission, but also think about it from a lens of design thinking, iterative modeling. How do we get to smallify a big challenge and make it small enough to try a bigger problem out in a smaller scale, chunk it down. All of that ties to some of the behavioral design aspects of how we want to have people adopt and adapt. That's really the 5 big models I wanted to share. I'm available as a mentor for this program. I'm excited to see what comes out of this competition. Thank you again. Thanks, Deborah team, for inviting me over to share this story and narrative, and hopefully it's helpful for the crew here. So thanks and good luck, everybody.
Niraj, thank you so much. Thank you for these insights. And also, I want to stress again that Niraj will be part of the team of mentors that will provide mentorship to some winning companies of the competition. So I'll also make sure to extend any connection that is being requested. So this takes me to the competition itself and the opportunities that we'll give as part of the competition. So as I was saying, we've been working for the past few months on bringing amazing opportunities for participating companies. And we've gathered $2.2 million in investments from 2 different investors for winning companies. We gathered fully funded pilots, mentorship. So we'll hear from the different mentors later today, and also the opportunity to present the competition, your technology at PlanetTech World during our demo day. And today we're going to dive a little bit more into what are the tracks and what are we looking for, what type of solutions we're looking for, and what are the partners also proposing to the companies. So basically, we created different tracks and across different nature-based solutions, but we are looking for a very wide array of companies, all stages, global. I want to stress that it's a global competition, and we're really encouraging startups from all around the world to apply. So we are looking for technologies that can support the deployment of nature-based solutions, that can provide monitoring, reporting, and verifying on nature-based solutions, that can improve the transparency of ownership and transaction of natural assets, and that can connect people, projects, and investment around nature-based solutions through technology. So this is a bit of a macro objective of what we're looking for, but we are going to hear more about it from our partners. I just want to say one word about the timeline itself. today we are launching the competition. So the applications are going to open today after this event, and you'll find more information on the website. Also the application form that Talia will send afterwards in our chat. The deadline for the application will be on September 7th, and we'll have our demo day on October 18th at PlanetTech World. From now until the September 7th, I encourage you to share this initiative with anyone you think might be relevant, even very early stage projects, or even if it's at the stage of idea, we encourage really any type of nature-based solution to apply. And I would like to start saying a word about our partners and the track partners, because we want to hear from them and their challenges. They're coming to this competition with specific challenges. They're looking for specific solutions, and they'll be able to explain a little bit more in detail. So I would like to start with our investment partners. So we're going to start with Flora Ventures, then going on to InNegev, and then with Enel for the pilot. So Gil, are you with us already? So
yeah, I'm here. I was just needed. I waited to be unmuted. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So
okay.
I would like to give the stage to Gil, the founding partner of Flora Ventures.
Great. Thank you, everybody, and obviously thank you to our partners here in PlanetTech. We're very, very excited to join this competition. It's our first competition because we're new. Flora Ventures. Deborah, can you move me to the next slide? Or I don't know. Okay, great. So just a short overview of who are we in Flora Ventures. So Flora Ventures is an $80 million fund. We just started a few months ago. We actually, hopefully some of you seen our the articles came out last week. We announced our first closing at 50 million, making us actually the largest Israeli-based agri-food tech fund already today. We invest in the agri-food tech ecosystem both in Israel and in Europe. Obviously, for this competition, the competition is global, so we obviously are flexing that even further. We invest in companies that are in pre-seed, seed, and A, so mainly early stage companies, but we also go up to Series A. We actually have very strong ties to industry players. I myself come from 16 years in corporates in the food industry. I worked for Pepsi in the US and then Kraft Foods in Mondelez globally. And in the last few years, led the corporate venture arm VC for Mondelez International, making investments in agri-food tech. And my partner, Esther Barak-Landes, is a renowned venture capitalist that is invested a lot of the unicorns that came in Israel from fintech and SaaS. And actually, later on, she founded for Nielsen, the market research firm, their VCR. But what's really interesting is some of our LPs and investors that whoever worked with us would have indirectly access to them through us. We have Harel Group, which is one of the largest financial services company in Israel. We have Haifa Group, which is a global leader in plant nutrition and specialty fertilizers. And then we have the vast majority of the Israeli kibbutzim. So we have access to more than 185 kibbutzim that can serve as beta sites, experts, etc., which is very, very unique. If we move to the next slide, what part of our thesis is we're an agri-food tech fund, but we actually invest in two universes that we say that are kind of parallel to agri-food tech. We invest in planetary health and human health. We have a lot of interest in technologies and products in general, putting aside now the competition that are maybe in the space of food as medicine and sugar reduction and etc. And then on the planetary health, we have interest in a lot of things that are very relevant to the competition, such as regenerative agriculture, more sustainable fertilizers, etc. So those are in general our investment thesis. We always invest in companies that have an underpinning deep technology behind them. So it would be mainly B2B companies. And if we move to the next slide, because I was told I need to be fast, so I'm making sure to meet Deborah's time requirements I got here. These are the exact areas that we, for our challenges, are looking for startups, entrepreneurs. So anybody on the line that is working on anything in this area, or you know people working in this area, please reach out, because we offered a very, very competitive and generous commitment to invest if a startup meets all our requirements, which is $1.2 million. And we're looking for startups in these areas: in nutrient management, soil fertility and health, regenerative agriculture, both technologies and platforms, anything around circular agriculture innovations, and in general, anything using circularity. We are very interested in anything around more sustainable fertilizers and bio-alternatives to agri-chemicals. And again, we have design partners behind us that can work with the startups on this. We're looking for things in irrigation efficiency and also more sustainable resource management, precision agriculture and farm management. And then the last two are basically increased productivity while reducing climate impact. And the last one is actually around smart agriculture by using new business models around carbon financing. It's a big list, so hopefully there's many submissions. And I think if we move to the last slide, this is what we can offer. So first of all, we're offering capital for the winners. So whoever meets our requirements would get an investment from Flora. In addition to that, we come from the industry. We're very committed to this industry. We know most of the investors in Israel, the US, Europe. So if we will back a company, we're not only going to bring our capital. If that company is looking for more capital, we'll introduce them to other co-investors, and hopefully we can create a great round. We're looking to help the entrepreneurs building and scaling their company. We have either the know-how in our team, or we have very strong venture partners and advisors around us. We have great access to design partners, which is probably the most important thing, as mentioned before, for early stage companies such as Haifa Group, Kibbutzim, and multinational agri-food companies. A lot of network for experts. Food is complicated and agriculture is complicated, regulatory, R&D, manufacturing. So those are the kind of people we'll make sure to bring on board to help. And finally, talking about if the company is ready already, talking about growth and how do we actually create a go-to-market and business development plan. Again, depends on the stage of the company, but those are the kind of things we're willing to offer, which capital is very important, but we believe we bring much more than that. So thank you very much.
Gil, thank you so much. I'd like to highlight as well that all of the details of the tracks will be added to the website afterwards, so that you can find all of these details. So that was for Flora, and I would like to invite InNegev, sorry, technical problem, and to hear from Karina Rubinstein, who is the PlanetTech venture partner at InNegev, to talk a little bit more about their own track. Karina,
yeah, hi, Deborah, Noam, Gal, everybody here from PlanetTech, and thank you for this opportunity. Hi, Gil, it was really inspiring to hear you, and congratulations, best of luck. InNegev, I'm a venture partner in InNegev, leading the PlanetTech investments. InNegev is a technology incubator that was established almost 3 years ago. It's a collaboration between the Israel Innovation Authority and private partners. Our partners are leaders of industry like SodaStream, Netafim, and Dolav. Beyond them, there are companies like PepsiCo, Orbia, and so on. So global presence and design partners first class in areas of agriculture, water, plastics, materials, and so on. Financial partners of us are 3 funds, actually. We have Kibbutz Chatzerim, Alpha Capital, and ICA. And we are partnering also with academia in Israel and abroad. We actually invest in pre-seed, early stage, very much from ideation phase onwards. We do venture building by ourselves based on academic knowledge that we commercialize, both from Israel and abroad, by the way. We do invest in Israeli-based companies at the end of it, and our tickets are ranging between $1 to $1.5 million. I can say that if you can move to the next slide, please. We invest in a range of areas within climate. So you can say that between agri-food, water, energy, circularity, carbon capturing, and so on, we are there. And so I'm looking at nature-based solutions, and practically we are already examining a few projects in this space. As you can see on the right side, our challenges are really relevant to areas that we are there, and nature-based solutions in agri, nature-based solutions in water. How do you sustain biodiversity and urban environments and whatnot? Whatever relates to adaptation and mitigation from our side can be inclusive within the scope of what we are looking at. And so I encourage you to approach us. We'll be really happy to talk. We can connect to our design partners, our partners in the incubator and in the ecosystem in the southern part of Israel and beyond. We also have an advisory board of industry players from all around the world, savvy in all kinds of fields, so that can be really helpful. And the team of InNegev really helps from early stage building your business model and connecting to whatever is needed for you to reach the next stage. So that is us, and we welcome you to approach us. Thank you.
Karina, thank you so much for the details. Again, the tracks will be on the website. And now I would like to start discussing our pilot track as well. Sorry for the technical glitch. And we'd like to hear from Aya Fati from Enel, who's in charge of innovation and deal flow, to tell us a bit more about Enel's track.
Hi, everyone. So I didn't prepare a slide, but I will tell you a little bit about Enel before we get going. So Enel is the world's largest, currently possibly changing because our business is changing a little bit, but the largest European utility and largest private renewable player in the world. We distribute electricity through a network of about 2.2 million kilometers. We have about 75 million end customers in 30 countries and produce today about 90 gigawatts of total capacity. Today, we stand at about 65% energy from renewables. That is expected to grow to 80% by 2030, and we have a net zero and 100% renewable capacity by 2040. Enel is composed of a couple of different groups. In this competition, we are going to be looking at the main groups of Enel, which are the grids that are in charge of the global infrastructure and network, so our distribution assets and our generation assets. So I've put the three main tracks, the three main types of solutions that we're looking for up here. And obviously anyone who's interested can feel free to reach out to me with any questions. But in general, as you can see, we're looking not just to move away from fossil fuels, but also to make the energy that we produce as green as possible, even the ones that are already from green sources. And this means that we are looking into all of our assets, both from generation. Okay, so we're talking about hydropower, wind power, and solar power mostly, as well as our distribution assets. So think of all the underground distribution lines, overhead lines, everything that substations, all the things that are connected from getting electricity from our generation through all the way to our customers' homes. And we're looking at solutions that can help us make all of the components of these assets more sustainable, and also how we can minimize the effects that we have with these assets on the local ecosystems and biodiversity. So just a few examples. I mean, in terms of monitoring, I think that pretty straightforward. We're looking for sensors, for platforms, for tracking, for example, endangered species, or mapping biodiversity in the areas of our assets, mapping through satellites or imaging to understand the impacts that we're having on local biodiversity, and also methods to monitor the status, the health status of local ecosystems. In terms of improving the assets that we already have and using them to bolster ecosystems. For example, we were looking at ways to integrate pollinators into solar fields, integrating other types of animals into the solar fields, trying to use grids infrastructures to enhance the biodiversity, dampen heat island effects, integrating more environmental considerations when we build the system. So for example, we're looking at using only wooden instead of concrete poles, things like that. And for the last is actually mitigating the effects of everything that we have. So we're looking at many ways, for example, ecovoltaic fields. So this means using the fields that we already have for other uses, whether it's nearby agricultural fields and ways that we can enhance our fields in cooperation. But basically trying to use the things that we already have and the ones that we're planning to improve the health of local ecosystems. And again, anyone is open to reach out to me with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aya. So again, I would like to stress that if you have any question regarding the tracks, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to provide more detail on it. The tracks will all be on the website. And I would like also to encourage really everyone that thinks that there can be relevant for this competition to apply. We would be happy to see also technologies that are beyond the 3 tracks, because we also gather different types of opportunities. We can help with the mentorship, with participating in our demo day. We'll have a lot of opportunities for companies, and we want to make sure we see the biggest number of nature-based solution and nature tech apply to the competition. So really, I really encourage to do this. I would like now to move on to the second part of our the session today. We've been working, as I was saying, reaching out and working with different experts and mentors from global organizations, experts in nature tech and nature-based solution that have really very generously accepted to provide some mentorship and mentoring to some of the winning companies. So we invited them all today to say a few words, to present a little bit in their activities, and also present on how they will be supporting some of the companies as part of the competition. The idea is that we also want to create a global network of nature-based solution and make sure that we can rely on different expertise. So I would like to start now with Lena Tit from PLANETech Ventures. I think, Lena, you are already with us as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. You can start. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Lena Tida. I'm founding partner at PLANETech Ventures. PLANETech really is a new kind of venture fund headquartered in Berlin that aims to partner with European green tech startups that have a significant positive impact on our planet while building scalable global businesses. And our mission is to contribute to an economy within the planetary boundaries. We not only support climate tech companies in climate mitigation, but also very consciously want to invest in biodiversity protection, reduction in waste, as well as resource savings. Can be water, can be other resources. And what we did is we built PlanetA around science. So we really bring the scientific insights into the venture capital world. I am heading the in-house science team that we have in PlanetA. And what we do is we anchor our scientific assessments into every part of our investment process. And as part of our due diligence, we calculate life cycle assessments as a way to understand how much better is that innovation really. And that has proven to be tremendously powerful, not only to base our investment decisions on, but really to provide the founders also with the quantitative evidence for the positive impact they are generating. And we have raised 160 million euros fund, closed it this January, and investing quite actively now in Israel and Europe, and have done a number of investments in the nature space already. For instance, Good Carbon, an investing and trading platform for nature-based carbon credits, as well as the land banking group, which is trying to make nature investable. And we are looking for many more innovative ideas that we can support. And my background is very much in climate and nature, so that's why I feel very passionate about it, and I'm very happy to be here today and offer my support as a mentor I have worked for the last 5 years. I've worked in Eastern Africa on natural resource management and biodiversity protection and wildlife conservation, so very much on the ground. And I've been in the climate field for the last 25 years, really, since Kyoto, and that has been my calling since the very beginning. And in terms of my expertise, obviously, I can help with early stage investing and investment pitch, as well as policy and any kind of impact assessments, as well as networking in the nature tech field. Great to work with you all.
Lena, thank you so much, and thank you for dedicating some time for our winning companies. We'll really look forward to it. I'd like to present now our second mentor, Amos Zera, who is a senior associate at Third Derivative. Amos, who's helped us a lot in building this competition as well, so extra thanks to your help. And you can present yourself now, Amos.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Amos Zera, originally from Israel, and for the last 6 years, I'm based in California. I work at Third Derivative, which is a climate tech accelerator as part of a big organization called RMI. In a nutshell, our program is 18 months long, fully remote, and requires almost no commitment from the startups. We offer funding of $100K as a convertible note and tons of connections to corporates, investors, and mentors. We launched 2.5 years ago, and in terms of numbers, we have 160 startups in our portfolio. We have 25 plus corporate and investor partners, in addition to hundreds of the main experts from RMI. We have also 200 mentors from all sectors and skills. And since they joined, around $1 billion were invested in our startups from all sources. So as a climate tech program, our focus is on solution addressing emissions across all sectors. That, of course, includes startups working in agriculture, CDR, carbon market, etc. But we're now looking for more solutions in the intersection of agriculture, nature, and energy. As for my background, if I needed to give it a title, I would say I'm an ecologist by training, a storyteller at heart, and working in the intersection of climate and nature tech. I spent many hours in boots on the ground, conservation, restoration, and research. During both my undergraduate and graduate degrees, I investigated the impact of climate and land use change on ecosystems, biodiversity, and people, from snow leopards in the Himalaya, wildlife corridors in Israel, or forest and Native American communities in Western US. It was always very clear to me that we're dealing here with a multifaceted planetary crisis. Prior to working on climate tech, I worked in different capacities on nature-based solutions, MRV tech, corporate sustainability, and impact investing. I advised a wide range of organizations like WWF and other NGOs, academia, big tech, big ag and food companies, VCs, family offices, and of course, many, many startups. So with this various experience, I consider myself a nature tech generalist. And as a mentor, the areas I bring most value are in market trends forecasting, go-to-market strategy, strategic partnerships, messaging, and distilling your value proposition, and of course, connections to other fellow industry players. I'm very excited about this competition, and I look forward to meet with you and learn about your technologies. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn, but please add a note so I'll have the context. Thank you very much.
Amos, thank you so much, and also thank you for your help. I'd like now to present our third mentor, excuse me, Greg Minter-Brown, from a sustainability and climate consultant at Deloitte. Greg, are you here?
I am indeed. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Great. Hi, Greg.
Hi. So, thank you very much for introducing me. I am a consultant in Flora Ventures, working in the sustainability and climate team. We essentially work as a research and development function. And yeah, we aim to keep Deloitte relevant and at the edge of what's happening in the market. We work with a range of partners such as startups, universities, NGOs, industry specialists, and we work to identify and accelerate innovative solutions to the climate and nature crises. The reason we're focusing on nature tech is we're obviously seeing quite an important shift towards companies being held more accountable for their impacts on nature, with important pieces of legislation being passed and important frameworks like the CSRD, the TNFD, the SPTN. Those are all relevant either to our risk advisory teams or to our strategy consulting teams. And yeah, we realize that these shifts are not just a risk, and rather also an opportunity for early movers to position themselves favorably in the market. As a mentor, I'm bringing a commercial background where I majored in accounting and finance. But since my time at Deloitte, I've worked in strategy and operations consulting, and R&D through our innovation team. I have a little bit of on-the-ground experience from South Africa, where I worked as a field guide. I also worked in operations for a rewilding organization that rewilded elephants and rhinos around Southern Africa. Yeah, I've got a good understanding of the TNFD and the tools needed to address each part of the LEAP framework, as well as understanding the nature tech market and its various players. We also have a powerful team that we work with deep expertise that I can lean on for further inputs into the mentorship process. And yeah, we can help with linking the solution to the correct network, building the investment case for the startup, leveraging the greater Deloitte community as well. So yeah, thanks for having me, and we look forward to making this nature tech competition a success.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Greg. So I'd like to have our last mentor of the day, which is Shruti Yengar. Shruti, are you here with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Are perfect, amazing. So Shruti is an investment manager at Future Planet Capital and just joined us again. So Shruti, it's right on time, and like if you can introduce yourself, that would be amazing. Wait, I think you're muted again. I'm unmuting you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Like I was introduced, Shruti, I work for Future Planet Capital, and we're an impact investing organization. So we've been around since 2015. We're focused on essentially, we manage a couple of different funds that focus on impact across different sectors. So we have a growth fund focused on agri-tech. We've got a deep tech fund that's focused primarily on UK-based companies, but across various sectors, including climate. And I sit across two of our funds. So I sit across our deep tech UK-based fund and also our Blue Ocean fund, which is a fund that's focused on Series A, Series B startups, essentially tackling ocean challenges across the world. That's a global fund. I'm quite excited about actively deploying it right now. So a little about me. I'm originally from India. I grew up in a coastal city, very, very much an ocean enthusiast. And then I spent about 9 years in Singapore. I've spent a lot of time working on accelerators, incubators, both for the Singapore government as well as corporates, and building them out and building the curriculum and deploying it, and working with early stage sort of companies right from sort of idea and conception, and that's sort of the thing that excites me the most. I worked across a couple of different sectors, specifically sustainability and water tech, and now I'm based in London. I've been here for about 4 or 5 years. Primarily, initially, I was at a pre-seed climate tech fund. I was running their accelerator program, managing their portfolio. That's about 35 different climate tech companies, and also working on their impact measurement piece. And I think we're currently, where I sit right now at FBC, especially on the Blue Ocean Fund, we're quite excited and interested in nature-based solutions when it comes to restoring coastal communities, coastal resources, water treatment, anything to do with sort of disaster management around oceans. So that's kind of where this fits in for my day mandate. And I think what excites me the most is to be able to help founders to actually work on building models that, when it comes to ocean, I think the biggest challenge we have is really making them feasible models when it comes to the business element of it. And that's kind of the biggest piece for me that really excited me about, working with founders through this competition. And of course, the team is always ready to help. So if there's anybody who, requires us to look at their investment pitches, their decks, go through sort of simulated sessions, we're always willing to work on those. We've also got quite a strong network within the ocean space, where we can tap into corporates and CVCs and think about what are the different use cases. Also think about what would be your fundraising pathway, and what could be potential customers that you can kind of talk to. So that's the other piece that I'd love to kind of help with. But yeah, just excited and really glad to see everyone come together today, and I'm so glad that I could make it just on time. And thanks for having me.
Shruti, thank you so much, and we're also glad that you could have been with us today. So we have one more mentor that was not able to join today. It's Chloe Chung, with the Asia Pacific Regional Lead for Bankable Nature Solution at WWF. So she was not able to join us today, but she'll be part of the mentors as well. So I want to thank again all this amazing group of mentors. We've gathered different expertise from different regions of the world. We try to cover a global spectrum. So we're a big thanks for the time you're going to be dedicating to some of the winning company, and also for your openness in all of this. So I think that's it for the competition. The applications are now open, so we encourage you to apply, to share it with your network, with anyone you can think would be relevant. I want to stress again that we have a lot of opportunities for startups beyond only the tracks. So we really encourage all of the nature-based companies to apply. Want to say one more word again on the conference that we're holding in October. Happy to discuss this as well. If there is any question, we'll have a few minutes to take some now. If there's a few questions that arise after, we're also happy to answer them and transfer them to the relevant people. And I want to thank again the partners for making this possible. Of course, the team, and of course all the mentors. Yeah. So if there is a few questions, we'll just wait a few minutes to take them. You can ask the question in the chat. Maybe that would be the easiest. And if not, Talia just uploaded again in the chat the competition, the different details of the tracks, and all of the important information, the application form. I think you can also have the opportunity to raise hands if you have a question. And if not, I think that will be all. All right. So apparently we don't have any questions. It means everything was very clear. So I'll again, big thank you to all of you for attending as well, and we hope to see a great number of applications from nature-based solutions from across the world. And thank you for attending.